Hey there, fellow educators. It's Dr. Ampel with the Learning Liaisons. Welcome to another question analysis session here. So today we're going to go through another typical type of education question, something that might be seen on your professional education test or potentially one of your subject area exams. Because remember, the subject area exams incorporate about 20% of the questions with regards to education pedagogy, assessment, ethics, teaching and learning, lesson planning. So you should be accustomed with some of the words and phrases and philosophies behind these questions that you might see on a variety of different exams. So definitely a type of question you would see on your professional education test. All right, so remember, as we went through the other videos and some of the things that I practice and model in detail in my online workshop sessions, we are going to force ourselves not to look at the question. Remember, I know you're doing it. Stop doing it, right? Stop doing it because you are in a habit of doing that, right? It sounds silly. Well, duh, I've got to look at the question, right? You have to train yourself to look at the answers first. You must. This is a non-negotiable, all right? We're going to look at those answers. We're going to read them first. Have her students take notes about timetables. Students can work on memorizing equations, administer a series of timed tests, organize a physical response activity. All right, so remember, we've got our mental checklist. This is something I go over in detail in my workshops online. All right, so as a good test taker, I'm looking at these possible answers here. All right, I'm going to look for some themes going on here. So what are some themes here? All right, well, saying take some action words here. I'm seeing take notes, right? Keywords, action words, processes, memorizing equations, timed tests, physical response activity. All right, so I am seeing things that are physical, paper to pencil, right? I see A and C, things that we're writing down, whether it's an assessment or taking notes. Okay, I'm seeing thinking going on here. All right, there's no real assessment going on here, just students working on memorizing problems, equations, so obviously it has to do with math. And then I'm seeing physical response activity, right? You might not know what a physical response activity by definition is, and that's fine. Who cares? I see the word physical and I see the word activity. So you're smart. You can figure that out, right? Moving around, something that involves moving around. All right. So we got an idea what's going on here in this question. All right. So in these answers, let's take a look at the question. Mrs. Kennedy is a first-year teacher and she wants to design a lesson to teach her students multiplication. Which activity should she consider in her lesson plan in order to yield the most effective results? So now that we're up at the question, we're looking for our key word and phrase, our process, our action. Remember, when I work with teachers all the time online or in person at school districts, one of the biggest things I notice when I work with teachers, when we get to pinpointing the key word, a lot of times they get it wrong. And when you get the key word and phrase wrong, your focus is going in the wrong direction because these key words literally drive you straight to the answer or two potential answers. All right, so forget about Miss Kennedy. I don't care if he's your first year teacher, 15th year teacher, doesn't matter. Don't let that stuff fool you. All right. She wants to design a lesson, great. Multiplication, great. Okay. So we're designing a lesson. That's our action, our key word. Okay. Now remember, don't always go to most effective because that's a given. Right? All the questions you're going to see, which one is the best action, which is most effective, right? The only time you need to focus on something at the end like that is which is the least effective. That's your opposite questions. That's a whole different ball game and strategy there. All right, so she's designing a lesson, teaching multiplication. Now, as a good teacher, effective teacher, in your mind already, because remember, when you talk about the professional education test, for example, it's all about what the state of Florida sees as most effective. Okay. Now, on the back burner, always as a good teacher, you know that effective teaching and learning is all relevant with making connections, right? How is this applied to the students' lives? Getting them motivated to learn, right? So any type of teaching question or lesson planning question, in the back of your mind, you have to think, what is most effective? How do kids learn the best, right? And that's basically what this question is asking. Doesn't matter if it's math or English literature or world history, doesn't matter. What is the most effective way to deliver the content? All right. I hate to break it to you. Some of you guys might disagree, but note taking, definitely not a good method for remembering and learning information, right? I remember when I was younger, I'm not that old, but when I was younger, we all took notes. Came into the classroom, teacher had the whiteboard or chalkboard sometimes filled up with notes, and we just had to write it down, right? We know there's no real learning coming on. That's just memorization, okay? And there's that word again, memorization, right? Working on memorizing equations. I get it. If you're a math teacher, don't get offended. I know a lot of math has to do with memorizing, maybe multiplication charts. It's different theories. I get that, okay? Now, yielding the most effective results. Now we're down to two possible answers. I know some of you guys are thinking, man, I thought it was B, right? When I think math, I think of remembering and memorization. While it does have its place in some content areas, especially math, that is not the most effective way to teach material, okay? Now, we know math is stressful. We know kids test all the time. We've got two choices here. Either we administer a series of time tests or organize a physical response activity, right? What do you think the answer is? Now, honestly, in my experience, when I sit there in front of teachers face-to-face or online, many people might have picked B, and some people might even shy away from D, only because they're not sure what physical response activity is. But remember my line of thought before I was explaining. As a good teacher, you know learning takes place when kids are engaged, motivated, involved in the learning, making connections. What is more motivating involved when kids are moving around, right? Those kinesthetic learners, right? We know that that's good. Get kids moving around, whether it's in math, whether it's in social studies, doing role playing, whatever it is, physical response activity. So your answer to this question, your most effective would be D. All right, so there's another question analysis for you. Like I said, always, if you have questions, any of the exams, I don't care which FTCE test it is, or maybe it's even from another state, maybe Praxis or whatever it is, you could always email me at the email address below, and I'll be happy to do a video for you. All right, so with that said, my name is Dr. Ampel with the Learning Liaisons. Feel free to text me anytime if you have any questions about your exam, 407-797-1499. And my contact information is below this video, as well as links to my website with all of my FTCE workshops. So I focus in on the professional ed, general knowledge test, elementary ed, pre-K through 3. I've got math boot camps. I've got high school math. I've got any test you're taking. I have a video course or live workshop that will help you with first attempt success. So I'm Dr. A, signing out here, and let's go out there and pass that test. You guys have a great rest of your day.